Earlier this week, before the onset of the winter meetings, Juan Soto signed his mega 15-year, $765 million contract to stay in New York. Well, kind of. He's with the Mets now. He's living in Queens, right next to the Costanzas. But before I get into the why I think this is an overpay, I want to first acknowledge that for a once in a generational hitter, someone who strikes fear into the eyes of the pitcher more than, Jake Paul strikes fear in the eyes of all the old men that he punches, there is a value to what Juan Soto brings. He is a terrific all-around offensive talent unless he's stealing bases. Maybe then, no, not so much. But when he's at the plate, he is one of the best to ever do it. Now, that doesn't come cheap. There is still a price tag to that, and the Mets were willing to pay handsomely for it. Hell, they were willing to pay even above and beyond what anyone else was even thinking about paying Juan Soto. Now, in order to put this deal in perspective, we have to look at Shohei Ohtani's contract, the real triple threat, the true and only triple threat we have in Major League Baseball. And when I say triple threat, I mean a six-tool ball player because he can pitch too. This is a deal for Juan Soto that is longer and has more money tied to it, but the average annual value of the total contract for Shohei still eclipses what Juan Soto signed. Again, not bashing the Mets for wanting to go out there and to spend the billionaires millions of dollars in order to sign a once-in-a-generation offensive talent at the plate. But there is something that needs to be said for the value of this contract. Now, he doesn't play stellar defense. He doesn't even play average defense. He rates negatively out in right field. And I get it. But JB, he was nominated for the Gold Glove twice out of the last 3 seasons. Yeah, well, have you seen right field in the American League? It's not that. It's not much It's not much to write home about from last season. And then when he was nominated the first time 3 years ago, he was still in the National League, and he got swamped by Mookie Betts. As Juan Soto ages, so will the lens that this contract was seen through. Those lenses will get dimmer because you will have to look harder and strain your eyes a bit more to try to figure out and to convince yourself, oh, these aren't rose-colored glasses I'm looking through with trifocals. No, this is the real deal. Because as he ages, the one thing he's good at will eventually decline. And after that starts declining, what are you paying him for? We are back. The winter meetings are over. JB's Chasers are not done, though. But we're back for a full-length episode of your box scores and bourbon.
Look at the box scores.
Box scores
and bourbon.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
Baseball, box scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box scores and bourbon.
So, man,
drum roll.
So I bring up the contract. It's not much of an albatross. It seems like an albatross, and I think if Juan Soto declines at the plate, if he goes down like this, if he goes down the exit escalator, the older he gets, that contract's going to seem more and more like an albatross. And because he's not going to provide anything on defense, he's not going to pitch for you.
How old is Juan Soto? 26.
He's 26.
Okay, so in my eyes, the Mets kind of are paying Juan Soto 15 years worth of services for 6 years worth of batting. So they're getting 6 years of service for the cost of 15 15 years. That doesn't seem like the greatest math.
Well, no,
Because
and it's not when you count that he has escalators that come into his contract after year 5. So at the end of the 5 years where he's supposed to produce the most, that is when there's an opportunity for him to collect not 51 million a year, but 55 million a year for the remainder of the contract. So
well,
around
I'm not even speaking contract wise. I'm mostly speaking from actual when skills start to decline wise.
yeah,
In all major sports, once you're in
yeah,
your early 30s,
mhm,
it's what's considered a decline.
yeah,
Where there's time and time again examples of people of
yeah,
players
mhm,
proving that wrong. But the
yeah,
expectation or the standard is
yeah,
once you're in your
mhm,
30s, you're really on a decline. So that's why I'm saying
yeah, mhm,
5-6 years of services of
yeah,
suitable services for 15 years.
yeah.
Oh, JB, cheers!
Cheers, my man. Clink, 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 clink.
How dare us? We step on the wrong foot every day.
Every day I step on the wrong foot. I've lived
Yeah.
long enough to no longer be the hero, but now I'm the villain.
Mm,
No, but and I, to your point, when does a player's uh, uh, skills at the plate begin to decline? It depends on the skill of the hitter you are. It's usually around
yeah.
33, 34. If you're of the talent of Juan Soto, maybe 35, maybe 36,
Maybe. Well,
maybe.
depends on how you look at it, because you could say the
Yeah.
way he's aggressive with the bat and how he's not necessarily
Mhm.
a on base hitter. He's definitely more trying to do like a
Yeah.
power hit. He might wear himself out sooner. So
Yeah.
it's up for interpretation. Consider depending on who you ask and
Yeah.
what kind of offensive player you determine he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And and just, you know, defensively, he is, uh, I had said that he was, that he had got, that he had, he was nominated for the,
The Gold Glove at
for the Gold Glove
right field.
twice in the last 3 seasons. And while he got better last season, that's only because he set the bar so incredibly low. I mean that bar was, lower than a limbo competition,
In
with
Maui?
midgets. I mean, it was like, I mean, this is, I mean, it was just, so there's only, you can only go up. And so
True.
you can only get better. Like, you can't possibly be any worse than he was 3 years ago. You can only be
True.
better. And so,
He
and he
has a
was better. He was
he
better,
was. He
but
was.
not
He
to the
but
point to where he's like, oh, we're gonna throw him up there for a Gold Glove. He's gonna finish third. And a lot of this comes from, and most of where his defensive skill, and not his skill, his value is from his arm. He
yeah,
had
that's what I was
nine
about to say.
nine putouts,
Mhm.
from right field last season, which is an incredible
Yeah.
amount. I mean, that's a really good amount to be throwing people out on the base paths from the outfield. That's really good.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but I think most of that comes from just the value he has with his arm.
Yeah,
That's where it comes
agreed.
from.
I was actually surprised whenever I saw him being nominated for the Gold Glove, because usually whenever a player is nominated for a Gold Glove, they have, if not a handful, at least 3 stellar
Hmm.
moments throughout the season where they just did something that puts them above and beyond their whoever else
Yeah.
in that
Mhm.
same position. I really only remember one major play where and the one that he had that's ringing a bell is exactly what you were just referencing, where his arm power was really what made the difference when I think he threw out a tag up from right field all the way to home base,
Yeah.
something like some one of those plays that he had. But usually outfielders tend to make a name for themselves for the home run stealing and the cross field
Yeah.
running like incredible catches. He didn't really have
Yeah.
any of that. So
Yeah.
I was surprised that he got the gold glove. So I think you're right that on the defensive side, you're not
Hmm.
gaining too much out of him. He's just like
Yeah.
he's not going to lose you the game. I guess you can pay
Yeah.
for having a reassurance that you're not going to have a weakness in that part of the field, but he's not
Yeah.
nothing to necessarily bank on being a game changer defensively.
Yeah.
I prefer personally, prefer seeing defensive players get big bags whenever
Yeah.
they're on the infield. That's just my
Yeah.
view on things because
Yeah.
I don't really see too much impressive natures coming from the outfield.
Yeah.
Infield,
Hmm.
the defense on the infield is where the major plays happen, where
Yeah.
the athleticism is shown. So
Hmm.
that's where I tend to see to kind of sit on that kind of
Hmm.
approach on defensively. I want to see the players that are infield get paid bigger bags just because they have to be on point throughout the entire game. Outfield, you can pick pick uh pick roses but in the middle of the game and you'll be fine until a pop-up comes your
Yeah.
direction. So it's nothing too crazy to necessarily be
Yeah.
a defensive all-star for. What I wanted to talk about, JB, was the actual way that things went down. Because I was keeping thorough tabs, and as all that are listening and or watching, Manny here, as a Yankees fan, is not actually heartbroken in any way, shape, or form. I hate that. I don't like that we didn't get him, but I'm also glad, based off of how things went, that the Yankees ended up not getting him
Yeah.
because throughout the negotiation period, they kept saying, "Oh well, he's going to have one round of open market to see what teams are interested. They can put in their bids. They'll narrow it down, and then they'll have a second round of the teams that are actually contenders, and then ultimately, Juan Soto
Yeah.
wants to give whatever final highest bid. He wants to take it back to the Yankees to give them an opportunity to match, and from there he would make that decision. I don't know
Yeah.
how true this is. He got 765 out of the Mets, correct? For
Yeah.
16
Mhm.
years?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
from what I heard and from what I saw, the Yankees offered him 760 for 1 year more. So 1 year more, $5 million less. And he said no. So again, I don't know how true that is, but $5 million over 1 year of a difference kind of gives me the feeling that that was all just a facade and you were just doing that to appease the organization as, oh yeah, I'll give you the last chance. I, when you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, is 5 million really the reason you're like, oh, this team was definitely the
Yeah.
one that I wanted to go to? It just tells me he didn't actually want to be a Yankee.
Yeah.
I don't know what your take is on that. That's just the feeling that I get. And ultimately, it came down to money. And I am
Mhm.
happy that the Yankees, even when they would have broken the record or set a new
Mhm.
bar for biggest contract ever at what they offered
Yeah.
him, I'm glad they didn't get into a bidding war with the Mets at the time that they got outbid. I'm
Yeah.
glad they did their offer, and what the Mets said, we're just going to keep outbidding you. The Yankees said, okay, fine, do your thing.
Yeah.
We know where we wanted to be, and you go ahead and go get the bag if that's
Yeah.
what you want to do.
Yeah. No, everything I had heard so far, and then now that he's had his introductory press conference with the Mets. Uh, what I had heard before this press conference was he didn't want to go back to the Bronx because uh, there were a couple of incidences where security had
Mm-hmm.
removed. Once they removed his family, and another time they removed his driver and his chef. And then
Oh God,
what? And then you hear the words from what he didn't say at the press conference, which I thought spoke louder than what he said. Was he didn't have anything negative to say about them, other than I haven't spoken to them since the season ended. Which I mean,
that's what I wanted to talk to you about.
to be
That's what I
fair, I
saw
don't
on
think
my.
that's honestly don't think that's that abnormal. I mean, you just spent 8 months, 9 months with these people. It's the off season. I mean, we're what 6 weeks,
Yeah,
8 weeks removed from the World Series, so it's not so scandalous that
it's a little bit. It is a little bit.
if you're in the
If you
off
build some
season,
sort
then
of friendship,
I mean
yeah, but you
I
build
don't
those
know.
connections and you hang out
Eh,
together. Like if you're really at that point with those players where you like want to stay, you definitely make it a point to still stay in touch. You're gonna tell me players go 6 months between now and
yeah,
spring training without talking to each other? That's not true.
Yeah. My point to it either way is, um, uh, I don't think you mention it either way. I don't think you bring it up because
Yeah,
you're not with them anymore. All right, all right.
that's
All
true.
right. Your ex wife divorced you. Okay, she said, "I don't want you. You can go across town. Okay, with Glinda. Okay, and you can live in her 2-room apartment with her 6 kids. So like, why are we bringing this up at all? Why aren't we just focused on the new relationship? And so,
Yeah,
like, if I'm Juan Soto, I'm not answering that question. Like, I'm not gonna answer any questions that have anything to do with the Yankees other than, no, this is my Mets press conference. Ask me questions about the Mets. This is where I'm at right
right.
now. So
Yeah, he
to
just
me, the
had to
only
take that
reason you
under
bring it
that
up
jab.
is to start stuff. That's it.
Yeah, he
You're
just
trying to
wanted
be
to take a
petty.
little jab at it.
You're just being very passive about stuff. Uh, so why are you bringing it up anyway? And this goes to whispers of Juan Soto just as a teammate. There were whispers of Juan Soto shortly before the World Series ended, after the monumental fifth inning collapse of Aaron Boone's training session. He likes to call, "How do we field?" And so this was, there were whispers about Juan Soto and how he was as a teammate in the clubhouse and how he's not the most likable guy. And
Right.
I and so I mean and I'd heard back and forth, justifications, reasons, whatever. But the point is, if you have to have a justification for the stuff that you said, chances are, okay, well, definitely wasn't seen in a positive light. So no one gives justification for the good things you do. They just ignore
Yeah.
it and don't say thank you. That's it. You just do your job. So
Hmm.
this,
And
I,
I'm sure as this develops, I'm sure we'll hear more stories of like the teammates or people saying, "Yeah, we didn't. He was whatever, not connecting well with the teammates or
yeah,
not the greatest person." I just don't want it to come across as the bitter ex that now
yeah,
wants to say I didn't like you since day one, because we all know that
yeah,
the Yankees were in love during the time that he was there. So I just we have to tread cautiously as
yeah,
more stories come out of that.
yeah. I want to say one thing is, if I'm Steve Cohen and I'm David Stearns, why am I not on the phone with Pete Alonso and his agent finalizing a deal to bring Pete Alonso back? If I just spent $765 million to bring in a generational talent, wouldn't I want to have a lineup as stacked as possible in order to protect him and to protect the others in that lineup? Like,
Because he can't
imagine, like,
afford it. He can't
it's 6
afford
years,
it.
150 million. You can
Did you not? Did you not see that he 2 days after the Soto signing, he sold his double and triple A
that was a
team
joke.
ownership?
That was a joke. He didn't sell his teams. I thought it was funny. But no, he didn't sell
He still
nobody.
can't
But
afford it. 765.
if you're gonna give $750 million to one player, you can't give, a nickel and a sack of socks to bring back your first baseman, so you can
Hey,
so you can protect him in the lineup. That doesn't make any sense to
hey,
me.
might be a billionaire, but any type of businessman, the pocket always gets a little tight once you start blowing through your money a little bit too fast. So I think that has a little bit to do with it.
Well, he's not paying quarter. He's not paying $750 million all this year. It's not.
Yeah, but that's sitting on your
This
books.
year he's
It's
doing
still sitting
no.
on your books.
It's 51 million
It's
per
still
year
sitting on your books, Stevie.
for at
You
least the
can go
next
out and buy
$1 million.
a car. You could go get a note on a car over 7 years. Even after you all go out of the dealership, you're not walking into the next into another major purchase that same week. You're gonna take
Yeah.
your time, even though it's not paying it all up front. You're gonna take your time to make another major purchase. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes in life. I know you get
How
it.
the cookie crumbles.
Enough about this. Enough about freaking Juan Soto. He's not a Yankee because he didn't want to be a
Enough
Yankee.
about the
That
sun.
means that I don't want him. If you don't want me, I don't want you.
Yeah, let's so I wanted to talk about and we're not going to today, because I really want to talk about this idea that I have for a college football NIT tournament, and I want to be able to dedicate more time to it. So
Okay. So we'll
we
talk about the
will.
real tournament.
Well, we can wait to pick our winners until
No,
next
there's no time.
Thursday. They play
You can
next
wait
weekend.
if you want. That's true. Well, we'll pick one. We have to sit here and pick one team because this weekend we have one game of significance, and that is the Army Navy game.
Oh, we
So
do.
we'll sit here.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't
Yep,
going to not
we
talk
have
about
to.
that. I wasn't going to not talk
Okay,
about
so
that at
we'll lock
all.
in that one. We can leave the
Yeah.
rest of the bracket up for next week.
Yeah. Okay. Whew. On 3, give the right decision. 1, 2, 3. Air Force.
Army.
No, Army. Army's going to win this game. Yeah.
Kudos for them for winning the conference. The conference on their first year in that conference. Kudos for winning the
Oh, in the
championship.
AAC? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, whatever conference you're in, if you show
The
up and
American
say this is my
Athletic
house now,
Conference? Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Way to stamp your way to pee all over that tree. But yeah, okay, we'll go with the Army unanimous decision. I think it won't be close. They had a stronger putting throughout the whole year. Navy kind of collapsed after, what was it, like 7 games they ended up falling apart. I think Army's more stable and more well-rounded.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to pick Army. Army, nothing against what Navy's done this year. They've had a great season. But Army's gotten so close. What's that?
I said they had an all right season. I remember back when we were about 2 months ago, we were talking about how they were both undefeated, and only one of them ended up losing one more game. The other one lost 3 or 4. So I don't know about how great of a season they had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So shall we talk about football in a whole nother world?
In a whole other league?
Baby. Yes.
Yes.
We're going to talk high school football. No, we're going to let's move on to high school.
Yes, let's talk about the 3A semifinals from Livingston Parish. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Well, how many A's do you want to talk about? All 5 of them? All 5 A's?
All 5 A's. Actually, where I went from, I think there were 6 A's, or there was a little A and 5 big A's.
Lowercase? You're a lowercase A?
I don't know. They're all a bunch of a-holes over there anyway. Let's get to the NFL. Let's do it. Because there are a slew of a plethora of afternoon games with fantastic and certain playoff implications. So I will rattle off one game at a time, okay? First is Cowboys Panthers. I'm kidding. Not even close. Let's start with Bills Lions. Okay?
Ooh.
I'm gonna ask you this question, okay?
Okay.
And there is a correct answer to it. So choose wisely.
Sure.
Who needs to win this game more? Buffalo or Detroit?
I think Detroit needs to win the game more than Buffalo does.
Yeah.
Is that the right answer in your book? Okay.
Yeah. It is the correct answer. Yes. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I live to make sure that I answer correctly to your questions. The reason I think the Lions need this game more is because they have a little bit of a compact, difficult schedule in the next couple of weeks with 2 teams on their tail to take over the number 1 seed. They play the Bills this week, and I get the Lions have only had 1 loss, but the Vikings are right on their tail, and the Eagles are right there too. So if they drop this one, they have to play the Vikings another time, and they can't afford many slip-ups because the Vikings seem to have gotten out of their little rump that they were for a couple of weeks where they were barely scraping out wins, and the Eagles don't look like they're slipping up anytime soon. Plus, the Eagles have a very favorable schedule, so you need to make sure you can stack up all your wins because you're not going to be banking on the Eagles necessarily dropping multiple games in the next month.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And Detroit has a decent chance to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
If only because Buffalo's run defense, since the last time who was it? They played Miami. Um, that run defense has not been good. And when you have lightning and thunder of David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs in the backfield for Detroit, that's going to spell problems for any opposing defense, especially one that's been struggling to stop the run lately. Now, to be fair to
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, this team has not been healthy all season. It has not been, and so, but Buffalo can survive not winning this game. They've wrapped up the AFC East. No one's catching them. And then you're just going to succumb to the Chiefs getting the number 1 seed because for some god
Yeah,
awful reason they keep winning the most ridiculous
that's what I
ways.
was about to ask you about. If the Chiefs
So
found a way to
ridiculous.
win against the Chargers on Sunday, do we really think that they're going to lose any other games in the next 4 weeks? They play the Browns, the Texans,
Not in
the
the regular
Steelers,
season.
and then the Broncos.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
when it
that's
gets to the
why that's
playoffs
another
and they
reason
have
why
to
the
play,
Bills don't need it.
Kansas City's in for a rude awakening when they have to play an actually like strong football team in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I
Because
agree.
they'll get their bye, but whoever they're going to play in the divisional round, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. They
They better
they might
get some
still
things
win,
together. For sure.
but it could very well be a slaughter. Like there could be no survivors left on the gridiron after that one. But
Here's the crazy thing. If they'll have a first round bye, but if for some reason they ended up losing that first round bye, they could easily play Denver twice in a row.
they're not
They
losing the first
finished
round.
well, I'm just saying. I know
I
what
hear
I
you.
just said.
But they're not.
But the Broncos pushed them to the brink the first time. I don't see the Broncos rolling over the second time. And you know what I say about beating a team once and beating a team twice. It's harder to beat them the third time. So if for some reason you can beat the Broncos twice and then you show up again and you have to beat them in the playoffs, that's going to be a hard matchup.
Yeah.
But back to your point with Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah, but just, Buffalo hasn't been healthy. They will get healthy. They're going to get healthy on that defensive side of the ball. And when they do, Buffalo, to me, Buffalo is the scariest team in the AFC. And if you're going through the AFC playoffs, the one team I don't want to play outside of Kansas City because it seems like Lady Luck keeps blowing on their dice. Buffalo is the one team that I wouldn't want to play. I wouldn't because they will pound you in the mouth. They will pound you in the mouth. So, but I have Detroit winning this game anyway. No one has a team ready to go and prepared to take care of business more than Dan Campbell.
That's right.
I mean, Dan Campbell knows better than anybody that, of course, Detroit has more to lose losing this game. They have the most to gain. They have the most to lose from this game alone. And so it'll be a great game. Very excited about it.
It will.
It'll be fun to watch. Game number 2. Steelers and Eagles.
Oh.
So, who needs this win more? Pittsburgh or Philly?
For the same reason I just defended Detroit needing to win more, I think Philly needs to win more. But this is a close one because Pittsburgh doesn't have that big of a lead against Baltimore for that division, so they need to really start locking up that division if they want to win that division.
Pittsburgh has a 2-game lead in the win column over Baltimore.
I know, but Baltimore. Let me look at Baltimore's schedule. I'm pretty sure the Steelers have a way harder schedule than Baltimore for the next month. So that's one of my reasons that I'm kind of torn. Yeah, the Baltimore plays.
They play
the
Philly,
Giants,
Baltimore. Oh, you talking about the Steelers or Eagles?
No, Baltimore. Baltimore has
Oh,
somewhat of an
Baltimore.
easier matchup. Yeah, they'll play
Yeah.
each other, but then they
Mhm.
have New York this week, and then they have the Texans and the Browns, and we all know how the Browns are holding up. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. They might it might come down to next week's game, which is why you want to make sure that you have that little cushion for the Steelers. But I still think the Eagles need this win, and it's not even for standing purposes. Leave it to
Okay.
the Eagles. Leave it to the Eagles for the week after I sat here and told you, JB, we need to give the Eagles credit. They are on a 9-game winning streak. They look unstoppable in the NFC. They look dominant. And then what do they do 2 days later? Come out with some freaking diva drama. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, we have all this turmoil from the organization.
I
And
know that.
now we're talking about the offense not clicking, the defensive leader in
Yeah.
Graham making insider comments and then trying to
Mhm.
backtrack them. This sniffs of last year's drama.
Yeah. Mhm.
So for the emotional turmoil that they've created onto themselves,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Eagles needing this win to ensure that
Mhm.
they stabilize their own
Mhm.
team and saying we can get past the
Yeah.
BS and just focus on football. If they lose this week,
Mhm.
it might be the beginning of something weird happening again for the second year in a row. So I'm going to go
Yeah.
Eagles need the win more.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, but for a different reason. The Eagles are currently slated as the second overall seed in the NFC. So if the season were in today, uh, they they would have a bye week, but they wouldn't have home field
Nope,
advantage.
nope,
But
no
the
bye week,
first and
JB.
second seed,
No more bye weeks for the second seed. Only the first seed. Remember with the
is
17
it
playoff.
really?
Yep.
No,
Yeah. Only one team
is
gets a
it?
bye. Yeah.
No, three, two, three,
One,
four, five, six, seven.
two,
Oh yeah, you're right.
7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Then scratch that. Yeah, scratch that. Uh, so not because of the bye week thing, but because they're a game behind Detroit in the standings in
Mm-hmm.
the NFC to be the top seed. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if Detroit were to slip, then Philly has an opportunity there to be able to gain that first slot, the bye week and home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. But I think, and not only do I think this game means more to Philly, they need to win it more. I honestly
Yep.
think they're going to, and it comes back to Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has proven that he's not going to let the noise affect him. I think Jalen has gone through this enough. Jalen was benched at halftime of a national championship game. Okay, he was benched at halftime of a national championship game, and he didn't say a word. He didn't badmouth Alabama. He didn't badmouth Tua. He just packed his bags and went to Oklahoma. That's what he did. So, and then he got drafted by Philly. And look, there's for all of Jalen's flaws, which is mainly ball control, him as as a leader on the field, I don't think you can question that. And the greatest way that you can stifle all of that back talk by AJ Brown and all the whining in the clubhouse or in the locker room is to go out there and handle your business. Just handle your business.
Yep.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If AJ Brown wants to cry because he's not getting fed enough, because if he's complaining because the food on the table looks delicious and says he's not getting enough, well then take away his plate and give him a bowl of cereal. That's what you do. Oh, you don't like my home cooking? Fine, eat the Fruit Loops. That's what you get. So Jalen just has to go out there and just handle his business. He's got to be the quarterback of this team. He's got to be the one to lead them to a win. And then honestly, like for Philly, like if you can have a bye, if you can have at least 1 week between the end of the regular season and your first playoff game, at the very least for Saquon to rest his legs, because Saquon will be the key to how long and
Mm-hmm.
how far Philly goes in the postseason, then again, you know, I this game uh, uh, it means more, I think, to Philly.
Yeah. I have a sidebar a question for you now that you brought up Saquon Barkley. Currently, Saquon is about 430 yards away from breaking the all-time rushing record in the regular season with 4 games left.
Mm-hmm.
JB, can he and will he do it?
How many yards does he need?
He needs like 430, 440.
Oh, he can get that. Yeah.
I know he can. Will he?
I mean, there'll be an asterisk because we keep adding regular season football games. So until the end of time.
So
Yeah.
if would you give him more credit if he got it with before week 18?
Would I give him more credit? No, I'm still going to give him
Yeah.
all the credit in the world because I mean it's harder to play football now than it was way back when. So and not because it's more players are faster and stronger now. You can make the case that it was definitely more dangerous back then because they didn't invent the penalty flag yet. So you just hit people at whim, and whatever happened. And there were some beautiful hits made. I mean, it was absolutely awesome to watch Sunday football as a kid because it was like, whoa, all right, that's awesome. And now as an adult, I'm like, what? What do you mean that he hit him too hard? What? That's not a catch. What are you talking about? Like it's really hard to track football these days. But no, I'm not going to give him less credit if it takes him to week 18 to do it. No one gave Puka Nakua less credit because he broke the rookie receiving record last year. And
Well,
he
I'm
did
just
it in
asking because you threw in the asterisk comment about him breaking the record on an extra week's
I know I
worth
did.
of.
I know, and I was kidding. I was joking. That was really more my passive aggressive way of saying we don't need to add more games. We don't even need a week 18. As a matter of fact, like the way I see it, week 15 should be the end of the regular season, and then we should just get right on by with our business. That's it.
No, I disagree with you. Only because I don't want to go that long without football. Between February and August, it is a very painful time. And spring training can only get
No
you
one
so
said we
far
had
when
to.
nobody's really trying too hard in baseball yet. So I need longer football seasons. So my goal is for them to get to 20 weeks of regular season football.
Oh, so
Cut the
good lord.
preseason. Give us one game as a warm up for you to figure out your 53-man roster. Add the 2 games to the regular season. Give them 2 bye weeks, and let's play football till March. Come on, you got to get behind that one.
That is just ridiculous.
Oh,
I
come
will say
on.
this to not get too far off topic. We need to stop having bye weeks. I mean, yeah, bye weeks up through week 14. This is absolutely asinine. It's frustrating if you're a fantasy football owner and you forget to set your lineups because you're like, oh wait, I forget they're off until the end of time. So we either set like weeks 6 through 10 are the times you're allowed to be off, or we have the AFC. All of the AFC is off in week 9. All the NFC is off in week 10, and that's it. Boom, done. I already solved the problem. I solved it. Let's just
What
do
about all
that.
the income? You have to consider the money factor. Come on.
The season's already 38 weeks long. That's enough income, okay? We already have enough regular season to bring in money to pay for the next 10 seasons, okay? This is
You do bring up a good point, though. We had a busy weekend, so I wasn't keeping tabs on all the teams that had bye weeks until I looked back. We had 6 teams on a bye week going into the final stretch of the regular season. That does seem a little bit ridiculous. I don't know that I remember that many teams being off that late into the season. I don't know if that was just a weird thing that happened this year or if it was done on purpose, but that does seem excessive.
It's a really dumb thing. If you're going to there's what is there 32 teams in the league? If 6 teams have a bye week, every bye week, what is that? Like 5 weeks. It's still only 5 weeks. We've been having bye weeks since week 3. So this is absolutely asinine. It should not be taking this long for people to have a bye week. Just get it straight. Get it
A
straight.
division.
Every
Two divisions a week.
huh?
Two
2
divisions
divisions
every
a
week
week is
starting
fine
in week
too.
5.
That's great because then that takes 4 weeks. That takes 4 weeks for everybody to have their bye week, and then we're done. We are done. Boom,
The
solved.
fantasy football thing seemed to hit a personal nerve, but I won't dig too deep into that mole because I don't want to find out what's underneath.
Well, it did, okay, and it was awful. It was. I saved it maybe a little bit. There was some salvaging. There was definitely some salvaging going on Sunday morning, and like, whoa, I gotta go find some people. So I may have had to pick up a quarterback, may have had to pick up a running back, a receiver, a defense, a kicker. May have had to do all of that. They all played for different teams. So let's get back to the schedule. The next game on the
Oh yeah,
list.
that's right.
Next game on the list is Indy and Denver.
Oh man, I'm actually. I never thought I'd sit here and say these words. I am actually bought into the Denver team of 2024 right now. I'm actually kind of optimistic about what Denver has been building.
Mm-hmm.
One of the games that I'm kind of more excited about just to see what Denver does after their bye week. I'm not too hopeful about Indianapolis. And I think ultimately, if we're sitting back and talking about the same topic, which is who needs the win more, I'll sit here and say Denver because they need to make sure that they don't fall out of the wild card since they are still in the same division as the almighty
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs. They'll need every win they can get just to make sure that they continue to stay in that wild card spot that they're in right now. I think right now they're in the seventh wild card seed, or the seventh seed in the wild card race. So Denver just needs to keep stacking up wins, and I've been impressed with what I've seen out of Bo Nix. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see them when a team is good, and I am ready to say that the Denver Broncos are right there at the good level, not at the great level. I don't think they'll win the Super Bowl, but when a team is good, you should always beat the teams that you should beat, which are bad teams. And in my eyes, Indianapolis Colts are not a good team, even though they are 6-7. They're not that far behind in the wild card race. Just when you watch them play, they don't look like a good team. So
Mm-hmm.
for the solidifying of your stature as a competitive team, I think Denver needs that win more, and I do think they'll win
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Denver wins this game too. But going back to the question, uh, uh, who needs to win this game more? I don't think that question exactly, but I think this game is going to mean the most to Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be his 14th NFL start. Okay. This is his 14th NFL start, and this is going to be this 14th game is going to be one more game than he played in 3 seasons in college. So, and I bring that up because this is youth. He is 22 years old, and it seems like a distant memory where he said, "Hey, I'm tired. Can I get some help out here? Where's Joe Flacco? I need to take a nap. Where's my binky?" It seems like it was forever ago, but no, that was only like 5 weeks
2
ago,
weeks
maybe
ago?
6.
No, it wasn't even that long. It was like
It
three
seems like it
weeks
was
ago
like
he
6
told
weeks
that.
ago it happened. But
Either way.
whenever it happened, this is a game for Anthony Richardson to prove to himself, one, not only can he rise to the occasion, but two, how he leads his team on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Indy doesn't have a shot at winning this game. I mean, it's the NFL. The probability is always usually around 50-50. It's the NFL. So
Mm-hmm.
unless you're the Chiefs this year, then it's always 100%. But if you're Shane Steichen and you're going into this game on Sunday, you are looking at your young starter and how he performs under pressure, and how he leads his team on the field overall. So I think the Broncos win, but I think the game is going to mean a lot more to Anthony Richardson in this Colts franchise, depending upon how he responds. Because if the Colts can pull this off, and they can, they are one game out of the last wild card. One.
Mm-hmm.
One game out. So this is not it's not insurmountable. It's not anything that is I mean, if you asked a month ago, do the Colts have a shot? You're like, no, but they're 6-7 now. If you asked me a month ago, I'd have said the Bengals have a better shot than the Colts do. But the Bengals, I mean, their defense seems to stay at the practice facility every week. And Joe Burrow's like, okay, I'll just do what I can on offense. But if you're the Colts, you're looking at Anthony Richardson. You're going to see what he can do because I think this is going to be the biggest statement for him. I think this is a statement game for him to be a positive step to walk away from the debacle of earlier in this season.
Against a really, I want to throw in when you said how he plays under pressure. There's literal pressure right now with the way that the Broncos defense has been playing. That defense is something that any team that goes and plays the Broncos should be afraid of. They've sacked the quarterback more times than I could count on one or two hands or four hands or five hands. But that defense is playing at a very stellar level. So when you say how he plays under pressure, there's literally going to be pressure in his face the entire time for 60 minutes. And I am curious to see if he'll be able to make those adjustments, if he'll be able to sit in the pocket, take the pressure, and throw the ball as a quarterback should be doing, or if he's going to resort to what he's infamous for, which is taking off with the ball and trying to make a play with his feet. That is what I want to. I'm curious to see how that's going to go.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last game for this Sunday slate is we can count the I'm not going to say Buccaneers Chargers because Buccaneers are going to win the NFC South. That's the only way anyone in the NFC South is getting in the playoffs. And the Chargers, they hold the 6th seed right now. So they have a game over the Broncos. But the Sunday night game, Green Bay and Seattle. Seattle's in the driver's seat to win the NFC West. I believe it is. And so
yes, they are.
Yeah.
With the Rams on their tail after beating the Bills.
Yeah. So this is who needs this game more? Green Bay or Seattle?
Green Bay is not winning the division at this point. We can both sit here and say that the gap in that division is insurmountable. So the hard thing is, I think the Packers will make the playoffs. They're 9-4 right now. They're going to end up being a wild card team. I'm pretty sure 3 out of the NFC North teams are going to take up the majority of the playoff spots. So at this point, I'm almost willing to say, as long as you don't completely collapse on your way to the finish line, just keep doing what you're doing. But I think because of how tight that race is, Seattle has to be the team that needs that win more, right? All 4 teams are technically in it to win that division. I would never think to say those words coming from that division specifically, especially because the Niners dominated it for so many years. But if you're in the driver's seat, your destiny is in your hands. You have to do what you need to do and just keep winning games. So Seattle needs to win more. But if I had to pick who's going to win that game, I think the Packers win that game.
Yeah. So much of how this game goes is going to fall on the shoulders of Jordan Love.
Right.
If Jordan Love can play like we've seen Jordan Love play before. Didn't have the most stellar game against Detroit last Thursday, but there's something about Seattle that just screams this is a gritty team. This is a
Mm-hmm.
team that fights. And Geno Smith has proven this season and even before this season that he is not afraid to have the moment in his hands and to take full advantage of it and lead the Seahawks to victory. And Mike McDonald has done a tremendous job with this Seahawks team. And the NFC West is I mean, it's they're all separated by I think by 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tonight's game between the Niners and the Rams is a pretty good matchup too. Um, but I think Seattle needs this game. But I also think the Green Bay faithful need to see Jordan Love play like Jordan Love has shown he can play.
Yeah.
Jordan Love has not played the way he played the second half of last season when he just came to life and you thought the Packers could very well win the Super Bowl this season because of Jordan Love's play. Have not been as inspired by Jordan Love's play as of late. So being
Right.
able to go out there and have Jordan Love go out there and show that he can do it against this Seahawk team, who has, like you said, a lot to play for. They got a lot to play for because there's not a lot separating them within this division. And the surest way for any team from the NFC West to make it is to win your division. And so
Mm-hmm.
Seattle's got a lot riding on this to be able to improve to 9-5. But if you're Green Bay, you're looking at Jordan Love. How does he respond? How does he respond to this? And you know, uh, you know, so this is not that Jordan Love's going anywhere anytime soon, but this is I think if you're Green Bay, um, it'll show a lot of hope toward the future and the end of the season. Green Bay can still make the playoffs if they lose because they'll be 9-5. So, but what you don't want is them just sneaking into. If you're Green Bay, you don't want to be sneaking into the playoffs, hoping that your quarterback can get you at least one more win this season. So,
You know
but
what's
I
been
think,
concerning me about Jordan Love? He's been reminding me as of late of Jameis Winston during his time with Tampa Bay, where he was really good at slinging the ball, but sometimes he just made this wild attempt of making an impressive play that ended up becoming a turnover. And you get too loosey goosey with the ball sometimes. Jameis Winston was and is infamous for kind of taking those risks, and most of, if it's not 50-50, it's most of the time it backfires
Mhm.
on his face. But for some reason, Jordan Love it seems to be relying on that. I don't know if he is not reading the defenses well, or if he's just trying to carry the team, or what it is, but he seems to be giving me those vibes. And it shouldn't be that Jordan Love should feel the pressure of carrying that team, because Josh
Right.
Jacobs is doing one hell of a good job being
Mhm.
the running back for that backfield. And he's consistently been getting multiple touchdowns in a game and just running all over any team that you put in front of him. So I don't know if I can't put my thumb on why he's playing like this, but like you said, it's not the Jordan Love that the second half of the year kind of solidified himself as a franchise quarterback for the Packers. It's just
Mhm.
so weird to see him play.
Yeah.
Even if you watch a full game, like from beginning to end, just his
Mhm.
play style is just so weird. He'll have beautiful balls. He'll throw beautiful balls that go land in his receiver's arms 40 yards down the field, and then he'll throw some outrageous pick that he just makes no sense to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know where it's coming from, but I hope he takes this opportunity against another gritty, really good defense right now, and just takes his reads, takes what the defense is giving him, and just continuously moves the ball down the field without turning it over. That's what he needs to do. Just even if you're kicking field goals not regularly, the Seattle offense isn't hasn't been explosive by any means. So if you keep field goals and sneak in a couple touchdowns because Josh
Mhm.
Jacob kind of breaks one free. I you you have a really good chance of beating a Seattle Seahawks team overall. So
Mhm.
I'm just curious to see what kind of if they're going to
Yeah.
reel him in, if they're going to say we'll run with it and we'll bank on the defense kind of picking up the slack if you do make a turnover. I'm curious to see what the game
Yeah.
plan is against the Seahawks this weekend.
Yeah. I honestly, and I think the game plan is going to lean on Josh Jacobs. The Seahawks have a top 10 passing defense, but they are bottom of the league with when it comes to rushing defense. And so if you're Matt LaFleur, and hey, you got access to more stats than I do, but even just the eye test and just basic Google, you know you can see that your greatest path to victory is to just hand the rock off to Jacobs, hand it
Yeah.
off to Josh Jacobs, let him run. Let them run with it. And so so I and uh, so I think the Packers. I mean, this is a really even matchup. The Packers absolutely have an opportunity to win this game, to beat Seattle. But what I don't want, but what I think we're going to see is Matt LaFleur put Jordan Love in spots where he's still going to make it that Jordan Love is going to win the game for Green Bay. Um, and if he does that, then I think that's going to be a mistake. I'm not saying don't put the ball in his hands at all. You still have to pass it. You still have to keep it even. But at the end of the day, if if the X's and O's are being moved down the field, of moving the ball down the field and for game control, if that came down to Josh Jacobs, that wouldn't surprise me just based off where Seattle struggles on defense.
Yeah, true. To wrap up this segment, I'm surprised you skipped over the Thursday night matchup of Rams 49ers. Is it just because
I did.
you've
I brought it
thrown in the
up.
towel? No,
I brought it
we
up.
didn't talk about it. You just kind of threw it in there. You snuck it in a little bit.
That was the
Are
last
you
game.
just
I said Sunday. I said the Sunday afternoon games. This is Thursday night.
okay? I see. I see where you're going. Okay, so Sunday afternoon games. Anything we missed? I don't see any other matchups that might
No,
be as
like I said,
impactful as
outside
the
of
ones
the
we talked about.
Buccaneers and the Chargers, I think the other games just have more of a more of a much greater playoff implication.
Yeah.
Let's see.
For the Buccaneers and Chargers game, all I'm going to say is Buccaneers just don't have a major collapse because the Atlanta Falcons are doing that for you. So just stay steady on your ship, and you should be able to lock up the division pretty easily
Mhm.
without
Yeah,
needing to do something too outrageously spectacular.
true, true. So, what
And
did you want to talk about the Niner game? You
well,
brought it
I'm just
up.
curious. I'm just curious, JB. Are you just throwing in the towel on the 49ers? Are you just at that point where you just
No, I'm
don't?
not. I'm not throwing the towel on the 49ers. Um, this team is just way too talented. But like I said with the Bills, I mean, this team is the Niners are hurt. They are
Mm-hmm.
decimated. They are decimated right now. And after the showing that the Rams put on, I mean, the Niners are decimated on the offensive side of the ball. So what the Rams did to the Bills, who were decimated on the defensive side of the ball, what they did to them on Sunday night, Monday night, um,
Yeah.
or Sunday night. I don't see that happening quite the same way in this game. But that Rams offense showed
Yeah,
that.
I don't
Yeah,
necessarily see I don't necessarily see the Niners putting up 42 points on the Rams, even if they are beat up. They don't have the explosive offense they used to.
right, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Rams offense is so explosive enough that I don't know if the Niner offense has enough to counter.
Yeah,
So I mean, you
right.
have Jordan Mason and McCaffrey. Neither one of them are playing now.
Hmm.
So the run game is suspect because they thought their third string was going to be on the injured list, but he's playing tonight. So and then and when you have Debo who's banged up beyond recognition, you still have George Kittle, you still have Jawan Jennings out there. Ayuk is hurt. I mean, it's Kyle Shanahan's going to have to get real creative if he's going to keep up with this Rams offense. Very, very, very creative, because there's going to be, and they have to get creative in the way of clock control. Like, you have to control the game. You have to win the battle of the clock, and it's going to be a very, very, very Kyle Shanahan can do it. He is an offensive mastermind, despite all of his flaws. But this dude can draw up X's and O's. I just don't know if he has the Jims and Joes to get it done. So we have to wait and see. But if anyone can counter with less, and can produce with less, Kyle Shanahan is one of those guys that I will be able to count on to do that. So we'll see.
He hasn't this year, but as our quote unquote tiebreaker of our picks for this week, the NFC West always beats each other up. And I wouldn't be surprised. It's happened more than once where the final score is 9-6 or 3-10 or some ridiculously unbelievable score. So, JB, I want you to give me your final score for the Thursday night game.
For the Niner-Ram game?
Yep. Considering the Rams just put up 43 points on the Bills.
18-16 Niners.
Okay. I'm going to go Rams 9-13.
So 13-9 Rams? Okay. All right.
Yeah, 13-9 Rams with no touchdowns from the Niners.
Interesting.
I know. But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a low-scoring game when no team scores touchdowns and it becomes a field goal kicking charade.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to the fix of six.
Boom, 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 boom. JB, I will take it away first.
Do it.
On Manny's number 3 fix of 6. Former NFL quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. For those of you that are not tracking, I brought it up a previous episode, but he is a head coach for a high school football team, and they're currently on their way to the state championship, with his team outscoring their opponent in the playoffs 221 points to 12 on their way to the state championship. Here is my thing, JB. I have to feel like this is some level of... It's happened time and time again where NFL players go to the high school level football teams and they just freaking run over any other offense because it's just the level of strategy that they've developed by playing at the top level football. It's just far beyond anything that anybody at a standard high school would have knowledge of. So I'm happy to see that he's a good head coach, but I almost want to say that's not very fair for anybody else trying to be competitive in high school football. Like, give me a break. When you're a quarterback, your job is literally to be able to dissect an offense and a defense in the matter of 3 seconds. And you're going to tell me that player that Teddy Bridgewater did that for 5-6 years, now he gets a whole week to dissect an offense and a defense in a way that his brain was built to be able to do? Of course they're going to outscore their opponents 221 to 12 in one playoff series. So, Teddy Bridgewater, congratulations. I don't know how I feel about you stacking up 221 points on your opponents. Maybe give your starters a little bit of a break. And Manny's number 2 fix of 6. We have news out of Ohio. The Ohio State. We have a state representative, JB, Representative Josh Williams, that has put up legislation to make it a felony to be planting a flag on any type of opponent field. And I'm curious, since we talked about this last week, Ohio State, are you okay? Are we really taking it to the point where we want to make laws because your feelings got a little bit hurt? I mean, I'm not surprised considering that age and time that we're in, where we're gonna try passing laws because somebody's feelings get hurt. But give me a freaking break, as JB once and multiple times puts it. If you're so hurt, win the damn game. Then you won't have to pass any laws to make sure that your freaking feelings aren't hurt later on in the freaking the events. So man, that upsets me the more I hear about it. So I'm going to quickly move on to my number one fix of 6. JB, Bill Belichick is once again a head football coach. Yes, he is a head coach. But wait, he has made it onto the college world, accepting the job as the head coach for the UNC Tar Heels. University of North Carolina has their new head coach. I have a couple things on mind about this. Number one, I don't know how I feel about this. This sounds wrong. Bill Belichick for years on years dominated the NFL, so I just feel like he belongs in the NFL. So it just sits weird. But additionally, I'm almost encouraged about the fact that he decided to go to the college world, because so many people in the NFL realm were saying how Bill Belichick was washed and that the only reason he was going to ever come back to coach football at the NFL was just to chase the winningest record, the most wins by a head coach in NFL history. That was the only reason he was going to take a head coaching job. And he stuck his nose in all those critique spaces and said, no, I'm actually coaching because I actually want to coach. Because for those of you that don't know, your wins in college don't transfer to the NFL when it comes to winning as head coach. So he's showing everybody that the reason behind anything he does is for the good of football. And that is my fix of 6. JB, take it away.
JB's fix of 6, number 3. It looks as if the athletic baseball club of Major League Baseball it seems that they could be taking on another contract, or at least signing another big money deal with big money in quotations, like they did with Severino, because there is some talk that they're in trouble with the labor union for not spending enough money, and so to be able to assuage the labor union, that the A's may be on the prowl for another big money contract. Again, air quotes with big money, this offseason. JB's number 2 fix of 6. The Saints won on Sunday. Whoop de freaking do. Congratulations. Great. Awesome. I'm so excited. But it came at a cost. And that cost was the Saints' ability to lose more football games. What do I mean by that? Derek Carr is out for the season. And I've had my issues with Derek Carr. And those issues had come with him starting as the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And now my issue is that he is no longer starting as the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints in 2024, which means that we have a better chance at winning football games. And that is the last thing we need as a Saints franchise. It is an odd place to be as a fan of a team to sit there and say, I am mad that my quarterback is hurt, because if he wasn't hurt, we would lose more. This is where I'm at. And I just go back to that Rams game 2 weeks ago when Derek Carr single-handedly lost the football game for the Saints, and I was elated. And then we won again. We won against the Giants, which we should because of the Giants. But as a fan, this just upsets me. It just does. JB's number 1 fix of 6. I'm going to piggyback on Manny's fix of the law in Ohio. You know what I think should be a law? Here's a felony for you. If you are the number 2 team in the country and you get embarrassed at home by a team who is half as talented as you are, then the felony should be you should be thrown in prison as the head coach because you didn't do your job. And then to make it worse, the AD for Ohio State already came out today and said Ryan Day will be the head coach next season, regardless of what happens this postseason. And I got to tell you, if you're an Ohio State fan, you have to be irate. You have to be hoping against hope that this is just him saying stuff so Ryan Day can maybe not have his feelings hurt so much, and he can go out there and cosplay as a head coach just enough to be able to bring a championship back to Ohio. But this is ridiculous. It is sad. It speaks to just the patheticness of the entire state of Ohio, and how they refuse to take accountability for how crappy of a job they did and want to blame other people for the fact that they sucked. And that is JB and Manny's Fix of Six.
Don't you just love what's going on in Ohio right now because they lost one game? Goes to show how
Good
serious
Lord.
they take their football.
Come on. Oh, jeez.
Oh man! But you took me on quite the roller coaster of emotions with your Derek Carr pick. I'm like, oh, he's sad that he's out. Oh, but he's sad that he's out because they're gonna lose. No, he's sad that they actually have a chance of winning. That's
Yep.
way to go.
Yeah.
Way to go with making
Yep.
it
Yeah. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at now, and in the year of our Lord 2024. The year 2027 can't get here fast enough if I'm a Saints fan, because that is precisely when I believe, if they do everything right, that is when they will be competitive again, and competitive for a long stretch.
That's hey, at least you get to see what's his name, your backup quarterback, the Rattler. It's Rattler, right? That they drafted
No,
this year.
Hayner's going to be starting. Hayner's starting. Yeah.
What? Well, never mind.
So,
I was going to say at least you get to see what.
Which I would have loved to see
what
that
you
too,
have
because the Saints would lose those games if Rattler started. But at least there's a purpose, because Rattler doesn't know how to play NFL football. Derek Carr has proven he can't play NFL football. There's a difference between the two. We just stick with the guy you drafted. Let him play it out. Let him learn. Let him get out there. There's no pressure.
That's it. Well, JB, we have some major social media news. Break the news for everyone.
Yes. So we have a Twitter account now. And so now we are at BSB Sports 24 on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And we are Box Scores and Bourbon on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. And so now you can follow us at BSB Sports 24. Give us a follow. And also, I started a new segment called JB's Chaser. I did it for the MLB winter meetings. I had a lot of fun exhausting myself with research throughout the week that I'm going to put myself through more pain. And I'm going to continue to do this segment because it is just a lot of fun to do it. And those video segments are on Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. And I'll have updates on those on the TikTok and the Instagram. So stay tuned for all the new developments that we have coming from this podcast.
On that note, as a Yankees fan, before I cheers you, all I'm going to say is, Yankees, you did lose Juan Soto. Go get yourself a batter. We know you need it. Go get yourself another solid batter, and then I'll be a happy camper. JB, what were you drinking?
I was drinking. So I went to Total Wine, and I was going on I went bargain hunting. So Total Wine has a Spirits Direct line that they have, or liquors that are under their Spirits Direct. And so I went ahead and got me one each of a rye, a bourbon, a whiskey, and a scotch. And I'm drinking tonight this Barrowman's Superior Scotch, this 12-year.
Nice.
It's actually quite smooth. It's good. I might get it again, but I just opened it. I just started it tonight. Yeah. And Manny, what were you drinking? Oh,
no.
My smoke is
smoke.
it is a Liga Privada. I believe this is the T52. So yeah, it's one of my favorites. I'm a big Drew Estates guy. Liga belongs to the Drew Estates line. So yeah, I enjoyed it. What do you drink, Manny?
JB, I didn't have a chance to go and chase down a new bottle to taste with us. So I decided to finish
Ooh,
off
maple
my
syrup.
maker's mark. Yes, I drank it neat once again. Since I was finishing it off, I figured might as well enjoy it for all its flavors that it has to offer without putting any ice on it, any kind of bitters or anything, just to get the full taste
Yeah.
of it. It's good. It's really goes down very smooth. Here is my moment of revelation. I'm realizing that I need some more oakiness, some more flavors to come out of my whiskey. And for just a neutral whiskey, this hits the spot. But whenever I'm looking for a little extra flavor, I need to go scavenger for what my new bottle is that I'm going to really enjoy the rich flavors of. So that is what I am going to be doing this week to find out what we're going to be drinking next week. On that note,
Nice.
JB, we are out of here. Week 15 is upon us. College football is in the back burner, and we will talk all about it next week. Cheers, everyone. Adios.